Outside of Boruto that I read and watch on this channel, Jujutsu Kaisen is a manga that I recently picked up, and I think it's really good. When the anime first released, I did watch it weekly with the crazy battles with exciting characters such as Itadori, Sukuna, and Gojo. And while season 1 had plenty of memorable moments such as Itadori and Todo jumping Hanami and Gojo casually flexing his powers, it wasn't until I read the manga with the hidden inventory, Shibuya, and Cooling Games arcs that drew me into the series even more, as well as the JJK Volume 0 movie dropping earlier this year with the development of a young Yuta that helped transition into reading the manga. My enjoyment for the series has risen tremendously. So let's talk about the anime first. Going into episode 1, we were introduced to the main character, Yuji Itadori, and based on first impressions, I found him to be your typical average shonen MC with colored hair. However, what I noticed right away was his monster physical strength, with Itadori literally shot-putting the world record in the very first episode. This natural physical strength is something that Itadori excels in, especially in combat, as it is his main strength when it comes to fighting enemies. From throwing hands to launching cars with his strength, I found Itadori's fighting style really exciting to watch. After watching season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, I thought Itadori was a solid main character with his quirky humor and enjoyable fighting style. And it was only until I picked up the manga where I started to enjoy Itadori's character much more. I won't go into spoilers until later in this video for my anime onlys, but as I was catching up to the manga, just know that Itadori became much more stoic and accepted his responsibilities of being Sukuna's vessel. While he did understand the complications of being the vessel for Sukuna, it only became much more apparent once Sukuna began to rampage and destroy more shit in the series. It began to hit Itadori more as the series progressed over time. I really enjoy this trope because even though you would think that it's a typical demon inside the main character trope, it's more of the opposite with Itadori and Sukuna. Sukuna really has no change of heart when it comes to his character since he thrives on chaos, and Itadori has no plans to become best friends with Sukuna either. Speaking of Sukuna, Buddy is the definition of Black Air Force energy. From his amazing looking domain expansion to having no regard for human life, Sukuna oozes chaos and just thrives off negativity. The one scene that made me love Sukuna was when after Sukuna hit a special grade curse with a domain expansion and one-shotting it, Itadori had trouble switching back to control his body. So instead of waiting for Itadori to switch, Sukuna, like the monster that he is, dude literally rips out Itadori's heart and then begins to give the beats to Megumi. Like, bro, whose mans is this? And once Shibuya gets animated, oh, you'll see what Sukuna can really do. And I'll talk about that arc later in this video once I dive into the manga. And next I gotta talk about Gojo, and I gotta say, this man is really him.
Oh, bro, but this particular nigga right here, bro, that's one sexy ass nigga.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
The strongest Jujutsu sorcerer and the strongest character in the entire series, JJK does a really good job when it comes to flexing Gojo's powers, as it's pretty clear that no one has the power to throw the ones with Gojo in his absolute prime. In fact, Gojo is so strong that he's the reason why Itadori hasn't been killed right away by the higher ups, and he has control over them since no one has the power to stop him. In fact, many secret organizations and many of these special grade curses are afraid to do anything drastic because of Gojo's power. We clearly saw what happened when Jogo tried fighting Gojo, as it was a complete one-sided beatdown with Gojo casually flexing his domain expansion. Speaking of domain expansions, it's literally my favorite ability in Jujutsu Kaisen. Having the ability to trap an opponent with a barrier that will amplify the user's curse technique can create some super creative domain expansions and can create some very beautiful backgrounds such as Gojo's, Jogo's, Dagon's, and Noya's. While it isn't on the same level of iconic moves like Rasengan or Kamehameha, I love when a character screams out domain expansion to flex their powers, as it gives me similar vibes to Bankai, where it gives a unique ability to each specific character. Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole is a battle shonen where it tells its story through its fights, and JJK as a whole has a lot of fighting in it. And even though there are some moments where there is downtime, the majority of the plot is explained through the fights itself. I mean, the main premise of the story is for Jujutsu sorcerers to exorcise cursed spirits to prevent the public from being hurt. With the use of cursed energy, the series can get pretty complicated, especially when it comes to each character's abilities. Cursed energy as a power system is pretty condensed and can be overwhelming at times, especially when we see new characters come out with new abilities. However, at the same time, JJK does a great job with connecting every character with each other when it comes to using their cursed energy. Having cursed energy being created by negative emotions from humans obviously creates cursed spirits, where we get the curses who are the villains of the story. Curses on the level of special grade curses such as Mahito, Jogo, Sukuna, and as well as Kenjaku have become some of my favorite villains in New Gen. In fact, I think JJK's villain cast as a whole whole is very strong, with many of the villains being extremely entertaining and causing tons of chaos. And there are other villains that aren't curse spirits that I love, such as Toji, who is literally my favorite character in the entire series. But now that I've talked about the overview of the anime, let's talk about the Volume 0 movie. Now I did read Volume 0 prior to watching the movie, however my enjoyment for a character like Yuta only progressed more as seeing his dynamic with Rika animated on the big screen hit completely different than when reading the manga version for the first time. The voice acting behind Yuta and Rika hit hard, as I was able to feel the emotion and weight behind the words, which made me enjoy the movie even more. Of course, Gojo was going ham in this movie, with him casually destroying Miguel, and with Yuta versus Geto in the final part of the movie. JJK0 was a very solid movie to watch. For a prequel movie to the main series, it only reinforced the main plotline even more, as though we saw Geto die in the end, we clearly saw him in the main storyline after Volume 0, where Geto aka Kenjaku started to make his move. Now for the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking about the manga, so if you're anime only, I highly recommend clicking off this video to avoid any spoilers. Now heading into the hidden inventory and Shibuya arc, I really did not know what to expect considering how unpredictable the story was. When I picked up the manga, this is where I started to enjoy JJK on a brand new level. Starting with the introduction of Toji Fushiguro, who sets a tone for the start of the hidden inventory arc with his battle against Geto and Gojo. Finding out that Toji was Megumi's father was incredibly surprising, and I had a feeling that he had some sort of insane power since Megumi has always been a pretty strong character in the series. And once I saw Toji fight Gojo, yeah, I knew the boy was him. Having zero curse energy made Toji so unpredictable that not even Gojo could read his movements with his 6 eyes. In fact, my guy is the only person in the series so far to actually beat Gojo in a fight. And while this is a teen version of Gojo, it was established that he was the strongest sorcerer in the world at the time, so someone like Toji almost killing Gojo is a feat in itself. And even though Gojo does get his get back in the end, this battle is one of my favorite fights in the series due to how unique Toji's fighting style is, and the fact that it showed that Gojo can be defeated even though many people thought it was impossible to do so. Heading into the Shibuya incident arc, I had heard people talk about how amazing this arc is, and I was genuinely curious on how everything unfolds. The Shibuya incident arc is the definition of chaos, as even though the arc starts out pretty calm with Gojo fighting the curses like Hanami, Jogo, Mahito, and Choso, it was expected for Gojo to body all of them, which he did. The goal for the curses wasn't to beat Gojo, but to distract him long enough for Kenjaku to release the prison realm on Gojo. And I feel like this is the best way to take out Gojo, as it would be kind of boring to introduce a random character who can beat the shit out of Gojo, so instead catch him off guard. This plan made by Kenjaku was planned as early as in season 1, as taking out Gojo would be impossible to do so instead, how about sealing him away? The curses did a phenomenal job of distracting Gojo long enough to be caught by the prison realm, as even though Hanami died with Gojo using a domain expansion that only lasted 0.2 seconds, the execution of sealing Gojo was perfect. When it comes to dealing with characters this strong in shonen, usually they're killed off or nerfed to allow the newer characters to be on the front lines. Jujutsu Kaisen takes a completely different approach when it comes to dealing with Gojo's power, as sealing him away changed the entire series and how characters interacted with each other. After Gojo was sealed, chaos ensued as the sorcerers panicked, realizing that Gojo was taken down. Curses such as Mahito and Choso started killing civilians for the fun of it, and the higher ups of the Jujutsu sorcerers made it illegal to unseal Gojo, as well as sending a hit on Itadori, as Gojo was the only person standing in the way of Itadori being killed. On top of Toji coming back and beating the dog shit out of Dagon was jaw-dropping, with Sukuna bombing the entirety of Shibuya when fighting Jogo. The amount of stuff that happens in this arc is so much to talk about that I could literally spend all day talking about all the amazing moments that happens. Itadori's character progresses tremendously in this arc as well, especially in his fight against Mahito, as he becomes completely broken from Gojo being sealed away, losing to Choso, Nanami getting killed, Nobara getting killed, and Sukuna's rampage in Shibuya. This completely and utterly destroys Itadori's mind, as he couldn't keep being stoic anymore, as Mahito hits him with a black flash, almost like a killing blow to Yuji's resolve. And thanks to Todo saving Itadori, it gave him hope that all isn't lost, as Itadori was able to defeat Mahito in the end, telling Mahito that he's just like him. Speaking of Mahito, the amount of bodies that he caught was absolutely insane. From all the civilians to Nanami, the way Mahito was thriving off killing everyone made me enjoy Mahito as a villain even more. He was having fun killing everyone, as every time he caught a body, it was exhilarating to read from each page. Of course, from Gojo being sealed, the Zenin clan came out and tried to take over, but Maki decides to pull an Itachi and just murk the fuck out of everyone. The Culling Games follows after, and I won't go far into the arc as it is still progressing, but what really caught my eye was Itadori admitting that he was the one who killed all of those people back in Shibuya, when in reality it was Sukuna in his battle against Higuruma, as well as Hikari vs Kashimo, which is easily my favorite battle so far in the Culling games. With Hikari's Jackpot domain expansion, it quickly became one of my favorite domain expansions in the series. Kenjaku's planet is slowly starting to unfold as the dude is orchestrating the entirety of the Culling games. I do want to talk about much more about the series, but I don't want this video to be too long, as I can spend all day talking about all of my favorite moments in the series. But let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. I am going to start reviewing the Jujutsu Kaisen manga from here on out. I am caught up to the manga. Once the anime does come out next year, I probably will make videos on that as well. And for all my people that are worried, no, I won't stop making Boruto videos. I'm still going to be making Boruto content, but I'm going to be adding Jujutsu Kaisen content on this channel. So let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.